Your kidneys are talking to you right now. Not loudly, not with obvious pain, not with any of the dramatic signals we have been taught to expect from a failing organ. Quietly, persistently, in the language of small signs that most people dismiss, ignore, or explain away as something else entirely. Ancient healers understood the kidneys in a way that modern medicine is only now beginning to fully appreciate. They did not see them simply as filters, as organs that cleaned the blood and produced urine. They saw them as the seat of vital energy itself, the root of the body's deepest reserves, the organs that, when they began to struggle, sent signals through every system they touched. In ancient China, the kidneys were called the foundation of life. Physicians believed that every other organ in the body drew its fundamental energy from the kidneys. When the kidneys weakened, even slightly, the effects were felt everywhere. In the bones, in the hair, in the hearing, in the lower back, in the depth of the fatigue that settled over a person like a weight they could not put down. In ancient India, Ayurvedic physicians described the kidneys as the governors of the body's water element, the organs responsible for maintaining the precise balance of fluids, minerals, and energy that kept every other system functioning correctly. They taught that the kidneys spoke through the body's extremities, through the quality of the urine, through the condition of the lower back, and through the clarity or cloudiness of the eyes. In ancient Egypt, healers who studied the urinary system left detailed records on papyrus scrolls describing the connection between kidney function and the overall vitality of their patients. They noted, centuries before any modern laboratory could confirm it, that patients whose kidneys were struggling showed the same cluster of signs, the same pattern of symptoms, the same quiet deterioration that preceded more serious illness. These healers were paying attention in a way we have forgotten how to do. They were reading the body. Today, I am going to share 13 signs they watched for. 13 ways the kidneys communicate their struggle before that struggle becomes a crisis. Not to frighten you, but because the healers always said, a sign recognized in time is a life protected. The first sign was one that ancient Chinese physicians specifically identified as the primary signal of kidney stress: changes in urination, specifically more frequent urination at night, waking once, twice, 3 times through the night to urinate, not because of excessive fluid intake, not because of age alone, but because the kidneys, which normally slow their filtration work during the night to allow rest, are no longer able to regulate this rhythm correctly. Ancient Chinese physicians called this the night water disorder. They observed that patients who developed this pattern consistently showed other signs of kidney stress within months if the underlying cause was not addressed. They understood what we now confirm with modern testing, that the kidney's ability to concentrate urine during sleep is one of the earliest functions to decline when kidney health is compromised. The kidneys lose their ability to conserve water efficiently. They produce more dilute urine. They produce it more frequently. And they do not slow down at night the way healthy kidneys do. If your sleep has been interrupted regularly by the need to urinate, and this is new, and you cannot explain it by what you drank, your kidneys may be asking you to pay attention. The second sign was one that ancient healers across every tradition associated specifically with kidney function, and one that most people today attribute to aging, to overwork, or simply to not sleeping enough. Persistent fatigue and weakness that does not improve with rest. A tiredness that goes deeper than sleep can reach. A heaviness in the body that is present in the morning before the day has even begun. An energy that drains quickly and does not return. Ancient Indian Ayurvedic healers described the kidneys as the reservoir of ojas, the body's deepest vitality. When this reservoir began to empty, when kidney function declined, the entire body felt the depletion. Not just in the obvious ways, but in this bone-deep exhaustion that no amount of sleep or rest seemed to fully restore.
Modern medicine now understands the mechanism. Healthy kidneys produce a hormone called erythropoietin, which signals the bone marrow to produce red blood cells. When kidney function declines, erythropoietin production falls. Fewer red blood cells are produced. Less oxygen reaches the muscles and the brain. The result is the profound, disproportionate fatigue that ancient healers recognized, and that we too often dismiss as simply part of getting older. Fatigue that rest does not fix deserves investigation, not dismissal. The third sign is one that most people notice and almost universally attribute to something other than the kidneys. Swelling in the ankles, feet, and legs. Ancient Roman physicians specifically documented this sign as associated with kidney weakness. They observed patients whose lower extremities swelled without injury, whose ankles thickened, whose feet left impressions in their sandals, and they connected this consistently with disorders of the urinary organs. Healthy kidneys maintain the precise balance of sodium and water in the body. When kidneys begin to fail, when they can no longer regulate this balance efficiently, sodium accumulates. Water follows the sodium. It pools in the spaces between cells. It settles by gravity into the lowest points of the body, the ankles, the feet, the legs. The swelling that results is not just uncomfortable, it is a signal. The kidneys are unable to clear what the body needs cleared. The fluid that should be removed is being retained. If your lower extremities swell consistently, especially in the evenings, especially without obvious cause, and especially if accompanied by any other signs on this list, this deserves medical attention. The fourth sign was considered by ancient healers to be one of the most specific indicators of kidney involvement, and one that modern medicine has now confirmed as among the most reliable early markers of kidney disease: foamy or bubbly urine. Ancient Egyptian physicians who studied urine as a diagnostic tool, a practice documented on some of the oldest medical papyri ever discovered, specifically noted foamy urine as a sign that the body's filtering system was allowing substances through that should not be passing. They were describing, 3,000 years ago, what we now understand as proteinuria, the presence of protein in the urine. Healthy kidneys filter the blood and retain proteins, keeping them in circulation where the body needs them. When the kidney's filtering membrane is damaged, proteins leak through. They appear in the urine, and protein in water creates foam. A single foamy urination after a very large protein meal is not significant. Consistent foamy urine, appearing regularly regardless of diet, is a signal that the kidneys are losing their ability to hold what the body needs. This is not a sign to dismiss. This is a sign to act on. The fifth sign was one that ancient Chinese healers specifically connected to the kidney's role in maintaining the body's bone structure and mineral balance: pain or aching in the lower back. Specifically, a deep, dull ache that is not related to muscle strain or injury. Ancient Chinese physicians placed the kidneys at the center of their understanding of lower back pain. They taught that the kidneys sat deep within the lower back, flanking the spine, and that when they were under stress, they communicated that stress directly through the tissues surrounding them. They distinguished carefully between muscle pain, which was sharp, localized, and changed with movement, and kidney pain, which was deeper, more diffuse, often described as a heaviness or an ache that sat below the ribs on one or both sides, and that was not made better or worse by changing position. The kidneys also regulate phosphorus and calcium in the blood. When kidney function declines, this mineral balance is disrupted. Calcium is drawn from the bones. The bones weaken. The pain that results can settle in the lower back, added to the direct discomfort of kidneys under strain. A lower back ache that has been present for weeks without injury, without a clear muscular cause, and without response to rest, deserves investigation of the kidneys. The sixth sign was something ancient healers observed in the faces of their patients, a sign that the Ayurvedic physicians of India described as the kidney's mirror.
Puffiness or swelling around the eyes, particularly in the morning. Waking with eyes that appear swollen, puffy, almost bruised in the tissue around them. A puffiness that fades somewhat as the day progresses, but returns each morning. Ancient Indian healers observed that patients with this specific morning puffiness around the eyes consistently showed other signs of kidney weakness. They described the eyes as the window through which the kidneys spoke to the face. When the kidneys allow protein to leak into the urine, the blood's protein concentration falls. Protein in the blood is what holds fluid within the blood vessels, what keeps water where it belongs. When protein levels fall, fluid leaks out of the blood vessels and into the surrounding tissue. The tissue around the eyes, which is particularly fine and loose, shows this leakage most visibly. The result is the morning puffiness that ancient healers noticed, and that most people today attribute to a bad night's sleep or too much salt the night before. If it is consistent, if it returns every morning, if it has been present for weeks, the kidneys may be the explanation. The seventh sign is one that ancient healers across multiple traditions described as an intimate signal of the body's internal chemistry changing in ways that could not be seen but could be felt and smelled. Changes in urine color, specifically dark, brown, or blood-tinged urine. Ancient Egyptian physicians who studied urine color as a diagnostic tool created detailed classifications of what different colors indicated. They noted that healthy urine was pale yellow and clear. They noted that dark urine, the color of strong tea, indicated that the kidneys were either severely dehydrated or allowing substances through that should be retained. Blood in the urine, which can appear pink, red, or dark brown, was recorded in the oldest medical documents as a serious sign requiring immediate attention. Dark or discolored urine can result from dehydration, which is easily corrected. But if increasing fluid intake does not restore the urine to a pale yellow color, if discoloration persists, if there is any hint of blood, this is a signal the kidneys are sending that demands to be heard. Do not explain it away. Do not wait to see if it resolves on its own. Act on it. The eighth sign was one that ancient healers described as the skin's testimony to what was happening in the kidneys. A visible record of internal chemistry gone wrong. Persistent itching, particularly itching that has no visible cause, no rash, no skin condition to explain it. Ancient Chinese physicians described this as the mineral itch, and they were describing, in their language, exactly what modern medicine has confirmed. When the kidneys fail to filter waste products efficiently, minerals and waste compounds accumulate in the blood. Phosphorus levels rise. Urea builds up. These compounds deposit in the skin. They irritate the nerve endings. The result is a persistent, widespread itching that has no visible skin cause and that no topical treatment relieves. Because the cause is not in the skin at all. It is in the blood. An itch you can scratch but cannot satisfy, that arrives without a rash, that has been present for weeks. That is the kidneys speaking through the skin. The ninth sign is one that ancient healers documented as the breath telling the truth about what the blood was carrying. A metallic taste in the mouth, or ammonia-like breath. Ancient Arab physicians of the Golden Age specifically noted that patients with serious kidney weakness developed a distinctive taste they could not explain. A metallic, ammonia-like quality that no amount of mouth cleansing resolved. They understood that this taste was coming from within the body, not from the teeth or the gums. When the kidneys fail to filter urea from the blood efficiently, urea accumulates. The body attempts to eliminate it through other channels, including the breath. Urea in the breath has a distinctive ammonia-like quality. It creates the metallic taste that patients describe. It is not a dental problem. It is not a digestive problem. It is waste the kidneys cannot remove, finding its way out through the only other exit available. If you have noticed a persistent metallic taste, especially if accompanied by any other signs on this list, do not attribute it to your last meal. Listen to what it is telling you. The 10th sign is one that most people experience and explain away as stress, as age, or as simply the consequence of a busy life. Difficulty concentrating and brain fog. Ancient Chinese physicians who treated patients with what they called kidney deficiency consistently observed that their patients' mental clarity declined alongside their physical symptoms. They described the kidneys as feeding the brain through the bone marrow, and believed that when the kidney fire weakened, the mind lost its sharpness and its ability to hold focus. When kidney function is compromised, toxins and waste products that healthy kidneys would remove begin to accumulate in the bloodstream. These compounds cross the blood-brain barrier. They affect neurological function. The result is the mental fog, the difficulty holding a thought, completing a task, remembering what was just said, that kidney patients consistently report. Anemia from reduced erythropoietin production compounds this effect. Less oxygen reaches the brain. Every cognitive function that depends on oxygen, which is every cognitive function, becomes slightly less efficient. If your mind has been slower, foggier, less sharp than it once was, and no amount of sleep or rest seems to restore it, this is worth investigating at the level of kidney function. The 11th sign is one that ancient healers observed in the eating patterns of their patients, a sign that the body itself was signaling that something in its chemistry had shifted. Poor appetite, particularly a loss of appetite in the morning, and a general indifference to food. Ancient Ayurvedic physicians noted that patients with kidney weakness consistently showed reduced appetite, not because they were unwell in the obvious sense of nausea or pain, but because the accumulation of waste products in the blood created a persistent, low-level queasiness and a loss of interest in food that eroded their nutritional intake over time. As kidney function declines, waste products build in the blood. The digestive system senses this chemical imbalance and responds. Gastric acid production becomes disrupted. The appetite signals from the brain, which rely on a clean chemical environment, become confused. The result is a patient who eats less and less, not because they have chosen to, but because their body has stopped asking for food. A persistent loss of appetite, especially without obvious illness to explain it, especially combined with any other signs on this list, is the kidneys asking to be heard. The 12th sign is one that ancient healers described as the mineral voice of the kidneys, a signal that the body's calcium and mineral balance had been disrupted in ways that only the kidneys could have caused. Muscle cramps, particularly cramps in the legs at night. Ancient Chinese physicians who studied the relationship between kidney function and muscle health documented night cramps as a consistent companion to kidney weakness. They believed the kidneys nourished the tendons and muscles through their role in bone marrow production, and that when the kidneys struggled, the muscles suffered. The mechanism is precisely as they intuited. The kidneys regulate electrolytes, sodium, potassium, calcium, and phosphorus. These minerals are what allow the muscles to contract and release smoothly. When kidney function declines, electrolyte balance is disrupted. Calcium and potassium levels shift. The muscles, particularly in the legs, begin to cramp without provocation. The cramps often arrive at night when the body is at rest and circulation to the extremities is reduced. Leg cramps that wake you at night. Cramps that appear regularly without a clear cause of dehydration or overexertion. This is the mineral balance of the blood speaking. This is the kidneys asking for attention. The 13th and final sign is one that ancient healers described as the most personal and intimate signal of the kidney's relationship with the body's deepest reserves. Shortness of breath, particularly with mild exertion or when lying flat.
Ancient Indian Ayurvedic physicians documented breathlessness as a late-stage companion to kidney weakness, appearing when the kidneys had been struggling for some time and the effects of their decline had spread throughout the body. Two mechanisms create this breathlessness in the context of kidney disease. The first is anemia. Reduced red blood cell production means less oxygen is delivered to the tissues with each breath. The body responds by breathing faster and with more effort to compensate. The second is fluid accumulation. When the kidneys cannot remove excess fluid efficiently, that fluid can accumulate in and around the lungs, making deep breathing physically difficult. Shortness of breath that appears with minimal exertion, climbing stairs you once climbed easily, walking a short distance that once required no effort. Breathlessness when lying flat that is relieved by sitting up. These are the kidneys and their consequences, speaking in the most urgent language the body possesses. When breath becomes difficult, the body is not whispering anymore. It is asking loudly to be heard. 13 signs. Frequent night urination, persistent fatigue, swollen ankles and feet, foamy urine, lower backache, morning puffiness around the eyes, dark or blood-tinged urine, persistent itching without cause, metallic taste or ammonia breath, brain fog and poor concentration, loss of appetite, night leg cramps, shortness of breath. Ancient healers taught their students one rule above all others when it came to the kidneys. The kidneys speak long before they fail. They send signal after signal, sign after sign, each one asking, in a different language, through a different channel, for the same thing: attention, care, action. I want you to think about something now, not just about yourself, about the people you love. A parent who has been more tired than usual, who wakes at night more than they used to, whose ankles have been swollen at the end of the day for months. A friend who has mentioned their back aching persistently without injury. A partner whose appetite has been poor for no reason they can identify. The kidneys are among the most silent of the body's organs. They lose up to 90% of their function before most people feel anything significant. By the time the obvious symptoms appear, by the time anyone thinks to check, the damage may already be profound. But the subtle signals were there long before. The night urination, the fatigue, the swelling, the foamy urine, the aching back. They were speaking. They are speaking now. If any of the 13 signs I have described today are present in your life, or in the life of someone you love, please seek medical attention. A simple blood and urine test can assess kidney function. A test that takes minutes. A test that can change the outcome completely if it is done in time. Ancient healers had no blood tests, no imaging, no laboratory. They had observation. They had pattern recognition. They had centuries of accumulated wisdom about what the body looked like when the kidneys were struggling. We have all of that, and we have the tests to confirm it. Use every tool available. If this gave you something important today, share it with one person who needs to hear it. The healers always shared what they knew. That is exactly how this knowledge survived for thousands of years. Subscribe to Ancient Body Wisdom and come back every single week, because there is so much more they knew, and we are only just beginning. I will see you in the next one.